Welcome back to You've Made a Mobile App, Now What? And don't forget to talk it up. Now, there's a balance here, and there's ways to do it without making it so self-promoting and in your face, but let's talk it up a little bit. First of all, you might want to look at re-engaging your users who have already installed your app. Just because it's on their phone, they need to actually be engaged with it. And that's a kind of a real critical thing. The average user has 100 apps on their phone. They use only 40 of them in a month, and then they use an average of 8 to 9 of them in a day. So you need to really re-engage people because you're competing for that kind of time. I mean, time is definitely limited. So there's some tools that are out there. Google Ads actually has a new platform where they will drive users to reopen the app. So they're already on the phone, but they get that information out to say, hey, this is what's going on. But you do need to keep your app refreshed, and that's one thing that's really important. So Google Ads is one thing to look at, and Facebook is also doing the same thing, where they're going to pull these ads together just to drive users to reopen your app. When users are using your app on a regular basis, that's how they're going to share this with other people, and they're going to see that this is something that they want to do. So you want to engage them and keep them engaged. And don't forget to send push notices out. Push notices are really critical, and I know we've talked about this before where some people will shut them off, but the ones that really want to hear from you, they will leave the push notices on, and especially if you want to tell them something new every day. I have a couple of them right now. One has a podcast and they send it out every week. They send out a push notice to tell people that their app has now been updated with a new podcast. Or another one where they're sending out a affirmation of the day. So there's many different ways, and especially if there's something really important in your business that you want to get the people's attention immediately, send out that push notice. And definitely keep your app refreshed. You want to add new content to your app on a regular basis. And if it's a gaming app, you want to maybe add some new features to it. You don't want to let it go stale. People's attention span is really short these days, and they always want that new and that latest and greatest. And if they've seen it before and there's no reason to go back, well, then they're just going to forget about it. So definitely keep your app refreshed with new content. And you can also offer specials to help re-engage users as well. Because if you've got a bunch of users that maybe haven't done anything for a while, you can actually send out a special notice to them. You can send out a push notice, you can run a special and say, you haven't been with us for a bit, we miss you. Something along those lines to engage them and get them coming, and let you tell them that you think that they're special and you want to have time with them. So it's not about being salesy, it's about being engaging. Because as we talked about in the very beginning, engaged clients are paying clients. So these are just a couple of ways to get your clients re-engaged once they've installed your app, and that's part of sustainability. And you want to keep it communicating within your inner circle. It sounds kind of funny, but you do have to remind your friends and your family and your colleagues that you have a mobile app. It is so critical. Even your customers, you have to remind them that you have a mobile app. And you don't want to just be saying it over and over and over again that you've got an app, you've got an app, you've got an app. You want to phrase it a little differently of, hey, please check out this article that I just posted on my app. You can attach your blogs to a lot of apps where you can just update a blog on your website and it'll update in your app automatically. Same thing if you have a podcast or a YouTube channel. And these are things that you can say, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? And you want to remind these people, because otherwise they have no idea, because updates, they go a long way. Friends and family and colleagues, they see you all the time and they forget. They don't completely understand, but if you remind them in a nice, calm, non-salesy way, because salesy just isn't it anymore. What it is that people want to approach you. So by giving good content and good information and then telling them that it's there, it's amazing how your inner circle will definitely continue to sustain you and help you promote. Sometimes we have to go back to the basics and just talk to one user at a time. I know it seems a little tedious, but really, if you do this, you can seek a directional conversation with a user, and you want to be on task and on purpose when you do something like that. You want to ask them questions. You want to find out what changes they may want in your business. How can you help them in a better way? You want to listen to their critique because they're going to tell you what they see. And sometimes we're so blinded, or we think we know what they want, but we want to hear it and then kind of maneuver it ourselves. And you want to offer them help. So when you're having these conversations, start with how may I help you, but get very leading, direct questions, not yes or no, something where they can actually answer a full question and give you that feedback. And you really want to make them happy. That's what it's all about. Happy customers, they're paying customers. And so when there's a problem or something that's not being seen correctly, you want to reach out to them, you want to ask questions, you want to hear what they have to say, you want to offer to help, and you want to make them happy. And by doing this, you're going to build retention. And retention is what's really critical in sustainability, because if you're constantly having to replace the people that are walking out the back door with new ones in the front, you're just going to be in a vicious cycle. So building retention is just critical in these manners. And when you do this and talking to just one user at a time, you're managing a smaller group and you can make some very significant changes at that point. You can also tell them, you know, I've heard this, what are your thoughts on that? And by managing the smaller group instead of taking on the big hairy animal, you can make some simple changes that will be very, very useful and will help you grow your business and, better yet, scale it and sustain it. And these customers you talk to one at a time, they're going to remain loyal. And that is the hardest thing in business today, is to keep clients loyal. But you know what? It's very, very important. People want that personal touch. We're so inundated with digital, and we're talking about an app here. You are talking about digital, but you want them to know that there's a person behind it, and you want to know that they are the person behind it. So talking to your users one at a time is just going to be something that's going to really help you sustain and grow. This concludes the section on Talk It Up. Please move on to getting in the conversation.